So how does a 15, 16, 17-year-old expected to consume all this, all this outrage, all this, these bad things that are happening? Of course they're going to have mental issues with it. Of course they're going to be stressed out all the time.
No faith in humanity.
Right.
I mean, I'm alone. There's no hope for anyone. So why should I have hope?
Yeah. Not only am I getting all this depressing content, I don't even know who to believe. So last week we dove into the Surgeon General put out a 53-page report on the youth mental health crisis we're facing, especially since the coronavirus pandemic hit. We think a lot about the physical toll that the pandemic has done, but what's maybe going to be more impactful for years to come is the mental toll that it's taken, especially on our youth. And so last week we talked a little bit about what kids can do, what parents and mentors can do. And today we wanted to talk a little bit and dive into what I would argue is probably the source of it all, which is our mainstream and social media companies and their role in all of this, what they can do to help us get out of it, and what we all can do to start to turn the tide and right the ship a little bit, because it is going to take all of us. It's not solely the media company's fault. It's not solely the parents' fault. It's not solely the kids' fault. Right. Everybody's got a part in this, and it's going to take all of us to get out of it as well.
Yeah, exactly right. We're not pointing the finger like it's your fault. Every area is contributing to this, and it's just an overall trend that has been trending in the wrong direction. In my opinion, and I'm just going to speak for myself, it's trending in the wrong direction from a mental health standpoint for the last 25 years or so.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. So we're going to dive into that. But before we get to that, it's Wellness Wednesday time, or Wellness Tip of the Week time, which is always brought to us by our friends at Sleep Number. And we were actually this wasn't planned, nothing like that. We were actually just talking about it with our wives over the weekend and how much of a game changer the smart bed has been. Yeah. Me, for my sleep personally, my wife, you guys were saying the same thing. Your wife talked about her back pain being totally alleviated due to the customized approach that they take. So go to sleepnumber.com or go to a local store near you. They're all over the place. And really check out what they're, because we can tell you all day how great these are, but until you experience it for yourself, just like anything, until you experience it for yourself.
That's right.
So go check those out.
I think whether they're our partner or not, you're going to hear me for as long as they're a company, be an advocate for them, just because what they've done, for me personally in my sleep and my recovery, and then my wife. And so it's been incredible. Yeah, absolutely. So thank you to Sleep Number as always. The wellness tip today, I talked a few weeks ago about nutrition being one of the main questions I used to get as a trainer. Probably the second most popular question had to do with supplements. What supplements should I take? Should I take supplements at all? And there's a lot of confusion out there amongst most people about the supplement industry and the supplements. Are they beneficial? Should I take them? And I get it. It is confusing, and it's hard because you've got so many. It's a $142 billion industry. There's so many supplements. And when I say supplements, I'm referring to wellness supplements like your heart health, your vitamins, things like that. Talking about your performance supplements, pre-workouts, post-workout, all that type of stuff. So I'm kind of encompassing all supplements into one here when I talk about that, and people wondering what I should take. Should I take it at all? It is confusing. And someone that's been or was in the performance sector for a majority of my life and living around that, and it was highly regulated. Being tested really from college. So from 2003 to 2016, I was tested every month. So I even prided myself on knowing, okay, hey, what am I putting in my body? What am I doing? Is this going to help? Is it worth the risk? Is it, because one of the things that I'm sure you'll get into is the supplement industry, and nutritional supplement in particular is unregulated by the FDA. So there's different guidelines that they don't have to abide by that medicines do, that some foods do. And so it's an interesting world. And with all that being said, as much time as I put into researching it and really focused on performance and making sure my health was at the forefront, because if I wasn't healthy, I couldn't play, it is overwhelming to me.
Yes. Yeah. And like I said, there's so many companies out there, and they're all claiming, all these benefits, right? And there are benefits. There's, you got your vitamin and mineral deficiencies that these supplements can help with. Maybe your heart health that these supplements can help you with. Can give you energy, can boost your performance, can make you look and feel better. Maybe they help with gut health. They help with focus and cognition, right? These are all the things that these supplement companies claim. The problem is, like you said, the downside of it is the FDA doesn't regulate this. It's almost a Wild West mentality. Yeah. And also, along with that, the barrier of entry is pretty low. You and I today could go start our own supplement company. Yep. There's really nothing stopping us from doing that. The problem you get with that is you get a lot of shady characters. You get a lot of people that lack integrity. What's their goal? Maximize profits for the cheapest amount of cost possible. Yep. In fact, there's a well-known company out there, I'm not going to say who, but their pre-workout supplement, they've broken into 2 separate supplements. So you've got to pay $30 per supplement when they could have easily combined into 2. Now they're making $60 instead of $30, like any other supplement brand, because they're trying to maximize their profits.
Yeah.
So that's what you get, unfortunately,
is
you get a lot of people that are just doing some shady things. Plus, it's expensive.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's, you're paying $40 for 30 servings. So it's more than $1 a serving, which lasts you a month, and then you got to do it again. And that's only one of your supplements. There's tons of them that you can choose from.
That's right. Yeah. And it's, like you said, it's Wild West. It's you don't know what the quality of the product is. You don't necessarily know the ingredients because it is FDA. It is unregulated by FDA. There's things that you can leave off. I know one thing that like a lot of people need to be aware of is, okay, where these supplements are being manufactured is important, because a lot of times a lot of the same supplement companies use the same facilities, and there's resin of other supplements in these. So like, let's just say you have an allergy to something. So even if they list everything properly, but it's being manufactured in a facility that, say, handles nuts or dairy or soy or wheat, and you have an allergy to it, even though it's not in that product, your product may be contaminated with resin from another product.
Yeah, no, so you've got to be super careful. And again, that's easy to say, and it's very much hard to put into practice, because most people don't have the time to research all this and to really dig into it. And I want to be clear, I love, there's great supplements out there. There's great supplement companies. First Form is a friend of the show. We're not sponsored by them, but we love Andy, we love Sal, we love those guys and what they're doing and the community they've built.
Yeah, so I think the mission behind what they're doing.
We've got but they'll be the first to tell you, hey, our supplements aren't designed to be the end-all cure-all for you. You better be doing some things. So my goal here, my point in saying all of this is, to me, there's really 5 questions you can ask yourself before really diving in and deciding if supplements are something that you should spend your money on. Yeah. To me, if you aren't taking care of these 5, if you're not able to answer these 5 questions, stick to these first before you decide that you want to go, because it's implied in the name. Supplement is to supplement.
I'm glad you said that.
Your diet, supplement your training. It's not meant to be the main foundation. Right? If you're not taking care of these 5 foundational pieces, you can buy all the supplements in the world you want, and they're probably not going to do much for you. So question number 1, what legitimate deficiencies has my blood work shown? There's legitimate, for me, I tell this story all the time. You used to tell the story all the time. I went and got my routine physical. I found out I'm vitamin D deficient because I spend most of my time indoors. That's a legitimate problem my blood work showed me. Now there's two things I can do for that. Number 1, just get outside more. That'll be helpful. But number 2, I can supplement a vitamin D supplement, which has been shown tons of benefits beyond just from a health perspective. So tons of benefits. So that's just one example. But what deficiency? Maybe it's you're not getting enough healthy fats in your diet, and there's a fish supplement that you can, fish oil supplement. So what does your blood work show? That's one question you can ask yourself before diving in. Number 2, what does my nutrition and exercise plan consist of? This is the main one, right? This is the biggest fundamental rock you can take care of. Does my diet suck? Am I eating chicken tenders and French fries all the time, well, yeah, but I'm probably am going to be deficient in some vitamins and minerals, and supplements maybe, could be helpful on that. Yeah. But what you probably want to take care of first is start adding in some vegetables, fruits, things like that, more nutrient-dense foods. Question number 3, how much sleep am I getting? This is a huge one, right? Lack of sleep plays such a vital role in our overall health. And the first thing we do when we don't get a good night's sleep is we reach for that caffeine supplement. Tyler, you got a big old can of it right now, right? And I'm not calling you out, but
on blast.
But just think about the nights that you actually do get legitimately good sleep. You're not necessarily reaching for that caffeine much, right? Because you took care of the main thing, which is sleep. Number 4, how much water am I consuming a day? This is one that a lot of people, I would argue, overlook, the benefits of water. We're not going to dive fully into that today, but water literally is your life. I mean, it gives you energy. Yeah. It gives you life. You can't survive without water. And most people go 1 cup, 2 cups a day. It's pretty fascinating.
Yeah, it's wild. It's wild. Yeah.
The deficiencies that can be caused by the lack of water.
I'll drink, 13 Dr. Peppers, or I'll drink, sweet tea. And it's like, well, there's water.
There's water.
No, well, here's the deal though, is like, we were designed to drink water. Mm-hmm. I mean, and the benefits, and like you said, we're not going to dive into it, but I mean, the benefits from a metabolism standpoint, from a dermatology standpoint, what it does for your skin, what it does for energy, what it does just for inner toxins, right? Mm-hmm. Gut health. I mean, all of the things, what it does for like your cooling system. I mean, what it does for performance. The list is endless on water, and I agree with you. It's so overlooked. And if you consume, and I mean, look, you're supposed to have an ounce per body, per pound of body weight that you have a day. Right. That's, in my opinion, I think that's minimum.
Yeah.
I mean, I should be drinking 300.
Yeah. Yeah. The best way to tell the water, I always tell people, is look at your urine, right? Yeah. If it's slightly yellow / clear, you're on the right track. Yeah. If it's darker than that, you probably need to have some more water. That's probably the best, because everybody always, well, how much water should I drink? It's very person to specific and dependent. And then lastly, what are my fitness and health goals, right? If I just want to be healthy and I want to be in good shape and I want to keep up with my kids, I probably don't need $90 of pre-workout or, $100 of post-workout, right? Because that doesn't align with my health goals. I don't need all that. Now, if I'm a bodybuilder, maybe I do need those type supplements. So what are your health goals? So again, to recap, to me, before I'm going to go shell out a bunch of money on supplements, I want to make sure I'm taking care of these 5 things. And those 5 things are: what legitimate deficiencies is my blood work shown? What does my nutrition and exercise plan consist of? Number 3, how much sleep am I getting? Number 4, how much water am I consuming per day? And number 5, what are my fitness and health goals? If I can answer each one of those questions legitimately, and I have a good answer to those, and I still think I need supplements, okay, now I'm ready to explore that world. Yep. And I'll tell you here in a second. It sounds like you want to say something, but
I was just going to say, I think to kind of summarize those is know your body. One of the things I think as a human race, we just don't know ourselves.
No,
right? We don't know our vitals. We don't know what our blood work is. We don't know any deficiency. We just kind of go, right? Yeah. And the challenge is that we are missing out on opportunities to, 1, prevent illness, disease, and then we're also missing out on performance just because we don't know ourselves.
Right.
Like, we want to research all these other things, and we want to figure out, I'm going to spend 6 hours researching what the perfect gift is, or how to do this hairstyle, or what. But we don't want to understand and look inside and understand how we perform based off of what our actual makeup is.
Yeah.
Precision diagnostics is underutilized, and it can prevent a lot and save you a lot of money because it can avoid long-term expensive medical treatments if you're just on the front end. So knowing your body, and then knowing what your habits are. And like you said, okay, are my habits good or are they not good? Do I need to change some things? And then what are my goals? I mean, it's very simple. What are my goals? Does this help? Because you said at the very beginning, a supplement is exactly that. It is a supplement to the greater body of work that you are already doing. Can that increase your goals or get you closer to your goals by 1%? Okay, then let's do some research on exactly what we're looking to actually achieve. Is it a CLA supplement? Is it a vitamin D? Is it a fish oil? Is it a protein? Is it a a carbohydrate supplement, whatever it is you're trying to accomplish and understand it. But if you don't look inward first, it's really, really hard to understand what benefits you're actually trying to achieve and what supplements are going to help you get there.
Yeah, I think it goes back to a lot of aspects of our life. We're looking for the shortcut. We're looking for the easy answer, and I'm just as guilty of that.
Yeah.
So if I'm being honest, when I think of supplements, a lot of times I'm thinking, well, this is going to advance me way beyond what I could do through hard work, through time, through effort. Yeah. And so that's where I think a lot of us fall, is we think the supplement's going to be a quick fix. Yeah. When in reality, if you're not taking care of these other big rocks,
I'm guilty of it. I used to go into like, all right, it's off season. I'm trying to shed some pounds. I go into the supplement store. Okay, all right, what gets me leaner and stronger?
Yeah.
What can it?
Right.
Bro.
Good sleep, good nutrition, showing up consistently,
eating, getting your mix, getting your greens, getting your protein, getting your carbohydrates, training, and all those things. Like, these aren't going to help you like you think that they are. Yeah. Like, here's the reality, and like, please don't take this the wrong way. Like, we kind of lump these supplements into this, like, oh, this is going to fix it. This is a fix-it-all. Because we see, like, bodybuilders, and we see these people. Here's the thing. Steroids, that's a legitimate, like, that is going to do something.
Yeah.
It is terrible for your body. It is bad. But, like, you could literally eat M&Ms and get shredded and get stronger. Like, I'm telling you, it is. But we look at supplements like it's going to do the same thing, and it's just not. Yeah. It really is not. Yeah. It's just a denser version of the vitamins that we really should be getting through food.
Yeah. So make sure you're taking care of those big issues before
That wasn't a plug for steroids, by the way.
It sounds like you have a personal experience with that.
No, I remember. Literally, I said that M&M's quote. Like, I had a strength coach in college, and I was asking him about, what protein should I do? He's like, nothing, man. Steroids. That's all you got to do. Do you literally take steroids, eat M&Ms? Doesn't matter what you do. You're going to get strong, jacked, shredded.
Yep, that's right.
And he was like totally joking. But I'm like, huh. And that always stuck in my mind. I was like, so I could literally eat peanut M&Ms for the rest of my life. And just
yeah. So if you're confused about supplements, welcome to the club. But hopefully you are taking care of those big things first. So back to what we were talking about last week, picking up with the conversation. So again, last week we covered parents, mentors, kids, what they can do. Today we're going to talk a little bit more about the media and social media. So one thing he said in a quote in the article was, media organizations, entertainment companies, and journalists can have a powerful impact on young people. In some cases, this impact can be positive. For example, television programs can keep children and adolescents informed about current events and teach them valuable lessons. I want to know what station's doing that. On the other hand, false, misleading, or exaggerated media narrative can perpetuate misconceptions and stigma. So I'm curious, from your perspective, we grew up, I guess, as we got into college was when social media became a big thing, when we started to be exposed to more. But what have we observed the last 20, 25 years from mainstream media? What's changed, do you think, over the last
I think there's
2 decades?
There's two sectors that I would put it in, is your news related, your nonfiction side, and then your drama fiction side, right? The entertainment side of it, like where it's more TV shows, movies.
Is there a difference in the two these days?
Not well. That's exactly it, right? That's exactly it. Whereas news traditionally is, it started with newspapers and writers and journalists would go out and research and interview, and they would write an article in the newspaper about whatever current event is going on. And if there was any information in those newspapers that were incorrect or proven to be wrong, then the editor would then do a retraction. They would take it back and they would edit it and correct it. Say, okay, hey, look, we're going to correct the mistake there was an accountability standpoint. And editors were tasked with making sure that their journalists and writers, that everything that was put in their paper was true and correct to their best belief, right? To their best knowledge. Well, Then it went to radio, right? And then it was, okay, the family would sit around the radio and we'd listen to the news and then we'd listen to some, story on the radio. That was like what it was. And then TV comes out. And for really, I personally would say, and I've only been around since the early 80s, but I would say up until the internet age, there was still some accountability in the news sector, in the media. We call it media, right? Is sports reporting, finance reporting, event report, whatever it may be, is the news, whether it be 60 Minutes, whether it be NBC Dateline, whatever it was, your just local news, is there was an accountability to it. It was, I'm sure, still skewed, and I was younger at that time, but what it was focused on was just reporting the details of the event. Mm-hmm. There wasn't opinions mixed in as much. And again, I may have missed it because of my age, but I remember sitting down with my grandparents and parents and just watching the news, and it was getting information. Yeah, and they had the opinion section, right, for what you're talking about. It was a completely separate section. Deal. Yeah, it was a separate deal. Yeah. Now it's your mainstream TV hosts are the opinion. Well, you watch Fox, you watch CNN, you watch NBC News, it doesn't matter. It is literally a panel of people that talk about their feelings on it. Yep. It is no longer, hey, President Biden went here are the things that he said in his speech, here was the outcome, and he left. Because that's not interesting. Nobody cares. That's the thing. That's the catch-22 of all this, is we can complain all we want about how the media does the news now. But why? But they do that. Why don't we care? But they do that because, for instance, I forget exactly what the story was, but I vividly remember this. It's, you go to Yahoo or whatever news network, and they've got 5 or 6 headlines that are outrageous and controversial, and I'm clicking on them and I'm reading through. And they had a feel-good story. And I literally remember myself, I'm not that interested in that. No. Mm-mm. So for whatever reason, it's human nature to be drawn to the train wreck. Yeah. And so they've picked up on that. And I think that's always been true, because even when I was talking about, hey, news back in the day, they report facts. Mm-hmm. They still have the choice of what they're going to air and what they're going to talk about. And they're going to talk about the car wrecks, right? Mm-hmm. They're going to talk about the murders. They're going to talk about all the things that are shock and awe, because we are attracted to those. But the difference now is just, okay, we're going to talk about a husband that just got arrested for, killing his family. They're going to spend 5 minutes talking about why they thought he did it and whose fault it was and this and that. It's like, that's not your opinion. You have no position of authority or knowledge on that subject. You're just talking, right? Because that's what people want. And I asked you, why do we not care about just the details and the facts? Yeah, right. Because we got a taste, right? How do drug dealers get people hooked? Right? Hey, just take a taste. Right. Just take a taste. Right. You feel it, and then you want more, and then you want more, and then you want more. And so now we've been trained that this is news. Is I want to reinforce, or I want to debate you on the opinions that I have. And I want it to be controversial. I want you to talk about stuff that I don't like, because I want someone to fight back. Mm-hmm. And I want this argument and no solution to ever be found. Right. And we've just been trained and ingrained, and that's on the media side, right? We've been trained and ingrained to accept, and I'm going to, big air quotes if you're just listening, right? Accept the news delivered in that way. Yeah. Well, and the other thing they're competing against, outrage wins. You've got to be more dramatic than the next person. Part of that is, think about, consumers now have a voice, as opposed to back in the day, you turn on your TV, that's the only person that gets to say what's going on. Yeah. Now everybody's got Twitter, everybody's got Instagram. We all have our phones out all the time, so we can all see a video happen in real time, or very quickly thereafter. And now we've all got an opinion. Yeah. So these media companies, social media companies, to be able to stand out, they've got to be even more outrageous than the millions of people who are commenting. Outrageous and fast. And here's part of it too, from a credibility standpoint. How can you possibly report accurate details if you're doing it as it happens?
You can't.
You can't, because it's your perspective.
Right.
It is 100%, but we're selling it like it's news, like it's, hey, this is facts.
Yeah. How many times do you see, something big happen? Everybody's got to get their 2 cents in immediately because they don't want to be last. Yeah. Everybody's got to say it. And then a week later, we find more facts that come out about the case or whatever.
I mean, the pandemic.
And everybody was completely wrong.
The pandemic is exactly that.
Right.
Whether you're left, right, middle, doesn't matter. Both sides were just coming out with just nonsense because they had to say something.
Right.
Right. And I go back to newspaper, I go back to radio, I go back to these things. Okay. It takes time for a journalist to go out and investigate. So if it happened on a Friday night, it's not coming out in the paper until Monday morning.
Yep.
So there's time for them to actually research and fact check and do all these things. Now, and this happened in, when I was playing, I got a taste of this, is the Adam Schefter effect. Who's the first one to get it out and claim that they put it out there? They could care less if it's true or not, but they're going to put it out there because guess what? If I'm wrong, there's going to be 4 stories and they're going to forget about it and I'm off the hook.
Yep.
There's no accountability to it.
Yeah.
So we as consumers, we just need to be aware of that. We need to be aware of this loud, fast, shocking news. And again, we're still on the news side of information that we're consuming that could not be further from accurate, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah. And the other thing they're competing with, we talked about, not only are they now competing with the consumer because everybody's got a voice. Think about these independent news networks or podcasts, for instance, right? I think of Joe Rogan versus CNN as an example. Joe Rogan, each podcast it's anywhere from 10 to 12 million downloads per episode, and he does 4 a week. CNN had a month. They didn't have 1 million views for the entire month. So he is 12 times the viewership. So how does a news network have to compete? How can they draw attention? They've got to be outrageous, right? And so we're saying all this in the context and thinking about our kids and us as well, but thinking about our kids. Now, how do you digest all this as a 16, 15, 7? Because, there's probably no 15-year-old that's sitting down and watching, Fox News or CNN all day, but all these companies have social media platforms now.
There you go.
So that's how they're consuming their news. Yep. So how does a 15, 16, 17-year-old expected to consume all this, all this outrage, all this, these bad things that are happening? Of course they're going to have mental issues with it. Of course they're going to be stressed out all the time.
No faith in humanity.
Right.
I mean, I'm alone. There's no hope for anyone. So why should I have hope?
Yeah. Not only am I getting all this depressing content, I don't even know who to believe. I don't even know, again, I go back to the Joe Rogan example. He just had on a doctor here from Dallas. Yeah. And they talked for 3 hours on the pandemic and the
I've had 3 people independently send me that.
It's episode. Wild. And obviously they go down the whole rabbit trail of these vaccines aren't super effective. That was their stance, right? So they go 3 hours off of that. And he made a lot of compelling arguments, and it was very interesting to hear. Sam Harris, on the other hand, is another podcast that I listen to. He would lean a little bit more left than right. Yeah. He's more central, but he would lean a little bit more left. He had on a doctor, again, a qualified doctor, and their 3-hour conversation was the exact opposite. They were talking about for 3 hours about how effective the vaccines are and how safe they are and how awesome this is for technology. So here I've got 6 hours of content with 3 hours each of completely opposite views. And I'm a 34-year-old guy trying to delineate what's true, what's not, what do I believe. I can't imagine being a 16-year-old trying to decipher. Yeah. And so that's the thing is these, and I don't know how you put the genie back into the box.
Yeah, that's what's hard. That's what's really, really hard because you want to say, and let's just, for example, the Joe Rogan and Sam Harris podcast is there's arguments to be made that both of them are right based off of what studies they're using,
right? What
they're looking at, what information they're grabbing.
Yeah, you're always gonna be able to find the argument that supports or the study that supports your argument.
That's right. And so it's really hard. It's really hard to distinguish because you can't. I mean, we've had guests on that go onto these shows and they debate and they talk through these things and and they use this, this study and this meta-analysis and this and that, and they're using all these things, and like you can prove whatever point you want to.
Right.
So it is super confusing. I don't have an answer for it. What I would just be aware of if you're a young adult or a teenager or an adolescent. I don't know if an adolescent, is that one of those? What does an adolescent technically fall under?
I think it's a young person.
Okay. You youngins, if you're listening, just make sure that you look at it through a lens that whoever is delivering this message, okay, is it an opinion? Mm-hmm. Because you need to be able to distinguish, is this someone's opinion and perspective, or are they just giving actual information?
Yeah.
Okay.
And by the way, going to Twitter does not constitute your research.
Nope. You are not credited, even if you have a blue check. That does not automatically qualify.
I hear
you
people
to give
say,
good
"I did my research." Okay, you checked a few Twitter accounts. Yeah. Maybe you went on to Yahoo.com. That is not doing your research.
No.
Another interesting line that he had, or a call out that he had, he said, "The COVID-19 pandemic has rapidly accelerated the trend of more time spent on social media." Mm-hmm. During the pandemic, the time teenagers spent in front of screens for activities not related to school more than doubled, from 3.8 to 7.7 hours per day. In 2020, 81% of 14 to 22-year-olds said they use social media either daily or almost constantly. I don't know what the other percentage are doing, but to me, that's 100% of people are using social media. But yeah, from 3.8 to 7.7 hours per day, the use of social media went up.
That's wild.
I mean, so again, the overall, how do you expect great mental hygiene if you're spending 7 hours a day consuming this type of content?
So what's the tagline for Facebook? The movie that was out about it, Social Network.
I don't remember.
Yeah, with Justin Timberlake and Mark and
whatever the guy's
name is. But it's a social network. It's an online community. The challenge with social media today is that we spend more time connecting with pictures of people, with representation of people, of highlights of people than we are with people by a long shot. And it's really, really hard because it's not a true version. You think about like your best friends, whether it's a sibling, whether it's your parent, whether it's a friend, whoever it is, when that person is BSing. Like, right away. When I'm full of it, right? Mm-hmm. Like, okay, dude, I know you're making that up.
98% of the time.
That if I'm talking, I'm making it up.
Is your mouth moving? Okay.
Okay. But you can tell, okay, that's BS. The challenge is if we don't have that actual physical interaction, right? I'm not looking at your nonverbal communication. If I'm not looking at hearing the inflections in your voice, if I'm not looking at your eyes and just seeing your soul through your eyes, your black beady
good.
eyes.
Yeah, that's intense.
But if you're not able to do that, like you can't distinguish what the meaning is, if they're being serious, if that's a facade, we don't know the struggles behind them. Like if I'm talking to you, I know if okay, he's having a rough day, something else is going on. Right. If you're talking to me, you'll know, right? And so with the social media, we're spending all this time seeing all these things that really are just not real. Mm-hmm. You put them on so that you can put this facade like, hey, it's good, or I do this, or look at me here, I need more likes. What's the motivation for somebody to put something on social media? That's the question. What is it?
To get likes.
To get likes, which turns into?
To get validation and appreciation.
Popularity, validation, appreciation. Go even further. To generate revenue, because now you've got eyes, now you've got followers, now you're an influencer. Okay. Then now, I've got sponsors. Now, why are they posting something? Okay, because now there's money involved with it. Now there's other motivation to put things that people want to see.
Right.
So we're chasing all these things, and it's not real.
Yeah. What's this? And sorry, go ahead.
No.
I was just saying, what's the saying? It's like you're comparing your everyday with somebody else's highlight reel.
Yes. Yeah. And I'm not saying social media is evil, and that's the reason for it. What I'm saying is it's just not good for our mental health. You say it all the time. Comparisonitis. Comparisonitis. When you're just comparing yourself to other people. My wife and I, we did a year ago, we did a month no social media. And we were, honestly, in transparency, we were going through really the tail end of a really hard 3 or 4 years after I transitioned out, just like relationally, confidence wise. We had a lot of things that were going on. And if you ask my wife today, she would say that's the best she's felt mentally that entire 4 years. And what it did is she didn't say, hey, no, it's the devil, it's this. But what she did is she looked at it from a different lens, and she didn't just use it to fill time. And she didn't just use it as something that like, I'm going to be totally invested in it. She's like, oh, look, if I want to connect with friends, I'll connect with friends. If I want to see what's going on, I'll block off 20 minutes and I'll do it. But we just get lost in it. And now we start saying, okay, hey, I'm comparing who I am to this person, and that person's better than me, and I'm not good enough here. Or, hey, I'm not getting enough likes on this. Or, hey, why am I not an influencer yet? Or I'm hearing bad, negative news. I'm hearing all these negative things. I'm seeing these people battle in the comments. It's just this environment of chaos and disorder that who is benefiting from?
Yeah.
No, who's benefiting from it?
From the chaos?
Yeah.
The companies that are putting the stuff out.
Social media companies, right? Because the more people engage in the chaos, the more eyes are on it, the more people that are actually investing their time into it. Who's spending more money?
We are.
And companies are, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Ads,
sorry.
Right?
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. That they literally created the algorithm to do this, right? Yeah. It's designed 100% to get you to spend more time. And it's interesting. We talked about this before we started recording. I mean, how many times I'm sitting there watching a football game and I'm scrolling through Instagram while I'm watching football? I'm not even watching the game's background noise at that point. So if I'm doing that, again, as a 34-year-old man, think about the 16-year-old kid who's trying to get validation, who's trying to connect, but they don't know how, right? There's the saying, it's like a meme or something. Kids these days will never know what it's like to call up a girl's house and have to talk to her dad first.
Right.
It's these social interactions that we're losing because our connection is 100% digital. Yeah. Right. And it's not as much in person anymore to what you were saying earlier. So what can, in your opinion, and I wrote down some things, what can be done about all this? I know we're not, again, it's going to be hard to put the genie back in the box. You can't all of a sudden tell companies, hey, turn away billions of dollars.
Stop making ad money.
Stop making ad money. But what are some things that can be done? What are some, because again, it's going to take all of us. What are some things we can do you think?
I think one is, as parents.
Sorry, let me rephrase. What can social media?
Social media companies. Man, it's hard. It's really hard because, like you said, it's that's what they're built for. Yeah, I mean, this is people's livelihood too, and kudos to them for getting smarter and smarter and putting stuff in front of us. But like I said, and I don't want to like compare social media companies with like drug dealers, but it's kind of the same thing. Like we're gonna give you some, and we're gonna give you more, and then we're gonna guide you. Okay, and you may start off with weed, and then we're gonna sprinkle a little cocaine in that weed, and you're gonna like that, and like, oh, have you already done it? Hey, here's a line. Go ahead and do that. Yeah. You know what? Guess what? That's not doing it anymore. Hey, dude, take these shrooms. Come on, man. They're just gonna blow your mind. You know what I mean? And it just goes and goes and goes. And these social media companies are just giving us more, and they're getting smarter. And hey, there's this new algorithm, and okay, hey, there's this new Reels platform, or this new TikTok deal, or it just keeps going and going, and because they're innovating, right? So it's honestly, I don't have an answer because I just know it's unrealistic. I would say, hey, look, social media companies, let's just be a little bit more responsible. Let's make sure that it's more age appropriate and specific. Let's not dump all these things that adults are consuming on 11 and 12-year-olds that are allowed to have social media because it's not healthy for them to see. So how can we be more responsible? But I mean, it's not going to happen. Yeah, a couple things I wrote down. Again, this would have to be a perfect world. Yeah, because like you said, it's going to be hard But then I also think, before I say this, I also always think about, like, if you're unhappy with an organization or a company, you stop patronizing that company, right? And you get a bunch of people and you write bad reviews. So it's almost, that's probably the only thing that's going to get to this point. It's up to us. If we all come together and just stop using, I guess. If you don't use it. Yeah, if you're not paying or you're not using the platform and the viewership goes down, that's the only way.
Which is much easier said than done because we've been 100%. So ingrained. And it's
like saying, hey, stop
part
using Amazon, support small businesses.
Right.
What?
Yeah, that's really.
I mean, I can't get it shipped right to my house. You are tripping.
So outside of that, and in a perfect world, a couple things I wrote down. Number one, they'll normalize stories about mental health and mental illness. Right. So it becomes more mainstream to learn about these things. Again, we talked about last time. It just wasn't talked about ever growing up. Oh. So the more that we can get that out there, I think the better it will be for our mental health if it can be more accepted. Right. Because everybody wants to feel accepted. So if that's more talked about. I also wrote down promote accurate information. Again, that's a big ask. I get it. Yeah. But let's try to take a second. Don't be so immediate with your reaction. Let's get some accurate information.
Let's add a slash in there because I want both. Unbiased, accurate information.
Yeah. Well, and that's kind of leads into number 3. Promote both sides of the story, not just what the algorithm thinks. Yeah. So again, the way the Instagram algorithm or YouTube algorithm works, whatever I've shown in the past that I linger most on, they're going to show me more of that.
Yeah.
Right. If it's a political statement and I'm a right-wing political person, they're going to continue to show me more of that opinion. They're never going to show me anything left because that's just going to piss me off and make me want to turn it off and go to something else. Yeah. Right. So starting to promote both sides, like the example I use, I listened to the Joe Rogan podcast because I knew it was going to lean a certain way. And I purposefully listened to Sam Harris's as well because I wanted both sides. I wanted to hear both arguments. I want to hear both points of view. Now I'm confused, but at least now I can hear both sides and I can make my own opinion on it now. Promote stories that help, hope and heal people. Now, again, initially, most of us aren't going to be as attracted to that, but stick with it, right? Social media keep showing us that stuff. Eventually, right, regardless of what it does for your ratings, eventually that will catch on. It's like, well, we put up a good story, nobody wanted to watch it, so let's keep doing the bad stuff. Yeah. Stick with it, right? Yeah. Keep showing us the good stuff. And then lastly, and this one's a little controversial, this is a little weird, because I don't like to give them too much props, but in China, their version of TikTok, whatever it is, or their social media, so they have time restrictions on it, right? You're not allowed to be on it after 10 p.m. for kids. There's like an age time restriction. The other thing they do is on Instagram how you're scrolling through, or TikTok. I don't have TikTok, but you're scrolling through and it's just all the videos of the people you're following. Well, what they do is they put randomly every few stories, they'll put a science experiment on there, something educational, so that as you're scrolling through, you're actually seeing some good, wholesome, legitimate content. Yeah. Every 5 minutes, you get a little notification that says, "Hey, you've been scrolling a while. Why don't you take a break?" Right? So again, I don't want to give them too much credit. I'm not saying that we need to be a freaking, crazy dictatorship here.
Yeah, I was going to say.
But I do kind of like the concept of, hey, if these kids, now ideally, and we're going to talk about in a minute, people will take responsibility and control. Yeah. But while I'm on it, if I could see every few story posts a cool little experiment or something I learned from, what's wrong with that?
No, and that's it. And it's the challenge is in China that comes from the government.
Sure.
Right. Yeah. So the democracy in us, the capitalism in us says no. You can't control the creative stuff that we're doing. Like I get that, but I would hope that the Instagram leadership team, the Facebook leadership team, the TikTok leadership team, whatever social media platform, because there's always like these little ones that are popping up, right? Is that you understand the platform that you really do have, right? And are you going to do something that leads to benefiting the people that support you, pay your salaries, or contribute to it, right? The ads obviously pay for it, but what are you going to do with your platform? Have some integrity as a person, as a company, and have a mission that leaves the world better than when you came into it. And you have the eyes of the globe. Mm-hmm. I mean, not the entire globe is not watching CNN. The entire globe is not watching Fox News. The entire globe is not watching BBC. The entire globe is not watching MSNBC, right? But everybody is on Instagram. Mm-hmm. Everybody is on TikTok. Everybody is on MySpace is not. I literally almost said MySpace. On Twitter, right?
Yeah.
So those are platforms. So use it. Like, look, make money. I'm all about democracy. Make it. Do whatever you got to do. That's great. But with those resources that you're making, Zuckerberg, you're telling me that you can't put something out there that is great for people? And I'm not saying he doesn't. Like, I'm not saying that, Facebook, Marketplace, or there's nothing that they're doing. Because I hope in my heart that people are trying to do good things. But, like, guys, what we're doing now is not it. And there's the argument to both sides. It's also like, look, we want the platform and we want to do with it what we want.
Yeah.
That's freedom. That's First Amendment. I want to say what I want to say and I want to do what I want to do, and you can't tell me what I can or can't do. But I just hope that these social media platforms will just understand the impact that they can make, do what you can to minimize the negative that comes from it and maximize the positive that you can.
Yeah, and we'll wrap it up here in a second. Before we do, though, do want to thank Choctaw Casino and Resort.
Yes, sir.
If you're feeling, it's Christmas week, if you're sick of your family, or if you love your family, that's the beauty of this. Either way, it works. So if you're sick of your family, escape. Go to Choctaw Casino and Resort tonight or tomorrow night and get away a little bit. Or if you love your family, take them all up.
A great time to go up there would be like New Year's Eve. Go celebrate the new year.
Yes.
Brand new casino, brand new hotel. A little cold for the pool, but I think there's a concert, and we're gonna follow up on social media and let you guys know what that is. But look, you want to go see a show, you want to watch a movie, you want to go to the
sports bar's open. Cowboys are good this year.
Come on,
go check them out.
It would be a great place to go, but it is, if you have not been up there. And I just had a conversation last week with someone, and they drove by. They're like, I had no idea. I was like, wait till you go inside.
Yeah. Yeah,
it's even
it looks cool
inside.
on the outside. Go look on the inside.
That's right.
And then they're always, every single month, they're giving away money as well. They're doing $1.6 million in giveaways every Saturday in the month of December.
No big
So
deal.
if you hate free money, then quit
stay
listening.
in Dallas.
Yeah,
stay in Oklahoma.
But if you like free money, head up to Choctaw Casino Resort. So as we wrap this up, I want to revisit why our kids can do, and what we can do as mentors and parents, because that's what I don't want that to get lost in this whole ranting and raving about social media, because it's clear if we keep heading the direction we're headed, it's not going to end well.
Yeah.
And it's also clear that kids today are facing much bigger challenges than even we faced, just based on exposure, based on how connected they are, quote unquote, connected they are with the rest of the world. So there's no doubt that they've got bigger problems. And again, we've got to do something about this. So I want to revisit what kids can do, and specifically our kids as we raise, because again, I think my default mind goes to, well, it's the mentor's responsibility. It's the parent's responsibility. Social media. No, kids have a role in this as well. So kids, if you recognize you're struggling, ask for help. It doesn't make you weird. It doesn't make you weak. If you know that you're not right mentally, go ask for help. That's the first and foremost thing you can do. We talked about it last time. That's one thing that Drew Robinson's a big advocate of, is asking for help. It doesn't make you weird. I know it feels like it does, but go ask for help. So that's the first thing you can do. Number 2, take ownership yourself of the time you spend online. I think, like I said, parents, teachers, and mentors can tell you all day long, hey, you need to restrict this, or hey, you only get an hour a day. How about you take ownership, right? And I know that's hard as a 16-year-old. I get it. You want to be connected with friends. You don't want to miss out. That FOMO is strong. But you take ownership. Regulate how much time you spend on social media. Find yourself a purpose. Find something that you're invested in. Find something that you're passionate in. What are you interested in doing one day? Find that thing at 16. And does more time online help me reach that goal, or is it taking away from that goal? The 2 more things I wrote down. Take care of your physical health. Eat well, sleep well, exercise often. I think that's overlooked from the mental health side of things. I can't tell you how great I feel mentally every single time I finish a great workout.
That's right.
The endorphins are going. I'm clear. I've got energy. It's amazing what physical and mental health, how they tie into each other. And the last thing I wrote down is find a group of people who are a positive influence and who are serving the community. We talked about this last time. Find somebody who needs help and serve them. Also find yourself a group you connect to, whether that's a sports team, whether that's a church, youth group, whether that's a video game club. I get it that maybe you're playing video games, but somehow I'm sure there's some connection going on. Find yourself a group that you can get connected. That's what I would tell young kids, and I'll let you take. What would you tell parents? What would you tell mentors, teachers, anybody who has influence over kids? What would you tell them?
Well, I want to say this to kids first, is believe it or not, your parents were actually kids. Although we live in a very different era, very different time, and as hard as it is to believe, your parents do remember being kids. I still feel like a kid.
Yeah.
37 years old.
Yeah, it's wild to me.
I'm the old guy now.
Yeah, it's wild to me that I'm in my 30s.
That's what I'm saying. So hear us, and I say us because I'm talking about, the generation of parents, grandparents, teachers, coaches, is we're not saying things and we're not giving you advice and we're not getting on you because you need to be fixed. We're saying things and we're advising and coaching and parenting because we literally love you and care about your life, how you feel, and your health, okay? So just make sure that it's hard sometimes because I was the same way. I was like, my dad has no idea. Like, he doesn't know what it's like growing up these days. And I remember discounting, like, he's an old dude. He doesn't know what it's like being a kid. Trust me, we do. And it's this cycle, and it's been said for hundreds and hundreds of years, right? The kids don't get why the parents are telling them, okay, I recognize that. But they are pouring into you, and you may take it as criticism, you may take it as discipline, whatever, because they care, okay? So just with that lens. Here's what I'll say to kids, though, and then I'm going to get parents and mentors, is my advice and in my opinion from my life experience is I would hope that you connect deeply. Connect deeply with people. Loneliness is the fastest way to struggling with mental health. You don't have an outlet to talk to somebody. You don't have someone to talk to you. You don't have that connection. Loneliness is a really, really hard thing. Connecting deeply does not mean having more followers on social media. Here's what I'm saying. As a race, a human race, we for thousands of years, we lived in tribes, right? No more than 100 to 150 people. Our minds, our brains are not designed to handle information and relationships for 5,000, 100,000, million followers. You cannot connect deeply when if you have 100 friends, it is really hard to connect deeply. There's just not enough time. So I want you to hear me when I say connect deeply with 3, 5, 10 people that, like you said, are like-minded, that are serving or that are bringing you up. Not somebody that makes you feel better about yourself because, they're not at your level. Connect deeply with people that are like-minded because there is so much health that comes from that. There is so much healing. There is so much joy that comes from connecting deeply with somebody. And social media is not that outlet. It may be a catalyst to meet somebody because, how many stories nowadays are people that connected online, they met in person, they started dating, they got married, and they've got a great life. Yeah. Maybe a catalyst for it, but that is not your source of connection. Your connection has to be in person, one-on-one, looking somebody in the eyes and having a very real, raw, transparent conversation. So that's my advice for young people. Connect deeply. Like, get to know somebody. Let somebody get to know you. Because when you're hiding stuff behind a screen or you're hiding stuff in person and you're not sharing exactly who you are, that's a very lonely place, and that's a road that leads nowhere good. Okay, now, parents and mentors. One of the things that I think we have lost sight of what it truly is we've lost sight of leaving a legacy. Nowadays, when you say leave a legacy, okay, what company can you build? What is the inheritance that you leave your kids? What is the brand that you created? That's not what I'm talking about. When I'm talking about and leaving a legacy, I'm talking about pouring in the people around you that your presence is felt long after you're gone. and the influence that you have, that starts in the house. It starts in pouring into your kids, pouring in, spending time. And I'm preaching to the choir here because I struggle. I shared it with you before. Like, I had a really stressful day for my job, and my daughter comes in. She was hurt, and I didn't have time for her. Like, I'm saying this out loud now, and I feel like a big piece. But it starts in your home. Create a legacy. Have pride in your last name and what your kids are going to do to the community that they interact with. How are they treating people at school? How are they on the team? How are they at the math club? How are they at choir? How are they at youth group? What are they doing to impact and better the people that they interact with and that they touch? What is influence? And it starts with the legacy that you create in the house. Okay. So now, what am I doing? What am I showing my kids? I look back and I'm like obsessed right now with this like ranching culture and this outdoor culture, because it's a throwback for me, because that is a legacy, right? We're building this. We're growing the land. We're literally interacting and living on the land. The dad starts it. Then the kid, he comes in and he works with the family. Then the grandkid, then he comes up with his dad, and then the great grandkid, and so on and so on. And I know it sounds like I'm talking about Yellowstone right now, but you're creating. That's where it started there. But really though, like, we've lost sense of it, right? Because what are parents doing? And influenced by social media culture and mainstream media is we're seeing what success looks like. So we're chasing these other goals. We're chasing this job. We're chasing this salary. We're chasing entrepreneurship because it's super sexy now. And David, that's not what I'm saying. I'm not talking to you because we got like king of entrepreneur over here, and he's taking a chance. But what are we doing? We're doing it at the sacrifice of our family and the sacrifice. We're trying so hard to build this legacy that the real legacy are the people that follow us, that are telling the stories of the times that we went camping, or the times that we took that trip together as a family, or the time just at home playing around. Like, that is the legacy. The lessons that you teach your kids, the experiences that you have, it's not about, hey, I'm leaving you this company, or I'm going to leave you this much money, or I'm going to give you this life. No, that's not what it is. Leave a legacy. Pour into it. It takes effort. It takes intentionality. It takes sacrifice. It takes all those things to build up the legacy of your family, and then go from there. Then it's your friends. Then it's your workplace. That's the legacy that it grows, but it starts inside. You cannot have a legacy without the core of your family. And you may have a broken family. You may have been divorced. You may be split, but that does not deter or does not eliminate your sphere of influence. And that does not say, hey, I can't still pour into my kids. I can't still pour into my ex-wife. Dude, crazy thought is, what if you actually poured into your ex-spouse? And you're like, hey, you know what? Didn't work out for us when we got married, but I'm still going to pour into you. And I'm going to still create that legacy for someone that's like, hey, I can let that stuff go, and I can still treat and serve people in the right way. Mm. And it's just pour into that. So think about that. Look through that lens as you are chasing this job. And I'm speaking to myself right now, because I have been chasing success for a long time. And the closer I get to it, the further away I feel from true joy, true peace, true happiness, because that is not what's going to get at you. Culture will tell you that it is. Mainstream media is going to tell you that's what it is. But that's not it. Pour into it, because back to the very beginning of this, if you pour into your family, look at the health of your kids, look at the health of your friends. If you are connecting and you are building a legacy of good things, I mean, we can really impact mental health just by spending time with our family and pouring into our family.
Amen.
Sorry. Off my soapbox.
That was good. It's good. I had a coach one time used to say, don't speak unless you can improve the silence. That was good. I don't think I can improve it or anything like that. No. Other than, I will just wrap it all up to say this, is be the example you're trying to set.
That's right.
It's easy to sit here and tell kids should, watch their online, and kids should take care of their physical health, and kids should eat right. Are you doing that yourself as a parent, as a mentor, as a teacher? Are you taking care of yourself? Are you being the example that you're trying to lead and trying to be for your kids? So hopefully this was helpful for you guys. Hopefully this was encouraging for you guys. Again, we've got a big, massive uphill battle here.
Yeah.
We definitely don't have all the answers. But again, I think if each of us, if Tyler and I start in our homes.
One home at a time.
One home at a time. If we start in our own homes and we create that legacy like Tyler was talking about, that can have the ripple effect that we're talking about. That's right. And we can overcome this. So we appreciate you guys. We hope you have a very Merry Christmas.
Yes.
I think when this releases, Merry Christmas will be in, 2 days?
Merry Christmas Eve.
So Merry Christmas Eve. Merry Christmas Eve. Which you claimed last year the 23rd was your favorite day of the holiday season. We don't need to get into all that, but I think that's what you said.
I do.
Yeah. So
because it's the anticipation at the all-time high.
That's right. So we hope you guys have a great and happy and very Merry Christmas. We're appreciative of your support this year. Thank you so much. The best way you can help us out is by sharing these episodes. If there was something that you liked, if you laughed, if you were entertained at all, if you learned something, share it with people that are around you. Rate us 5 stars and subscribe on the podcast platforms. We're on YouTube. We're on Instagram. And tune in next week, Tyler. We're finally here. Next week is our big, massive, huge announcement.
I feel like you, Darren, and I have been talking about this for like a year.
It's been a long time.
It's been a long time.
And we can't wait to reveal it next week. So make sure you come back next week's roundtable. You don't want to miss it. Huge, massive announcement. David doesn't even know what we're about to say. He's chomping at the bit, ready for us to make this announcement. So, like I said, we love you guys. We appreciate you. Have a Merry Christmas.